In our post-scouting combine mock draft, the Los Angeles Rams make some head-scratching picks.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Damian Parson. I'm an NFL draft analyst for Bleacher Report. That's Keith Sanchez. He's a director of scouting with the Draft Network and 2019 national champion with the LSU Tigers. And as always, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen of the day. And thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network in America. Is all because of you guys. We did a post-combine mock draft. Keith took the odd numbers. I took the even numbers, and we'll get into it. Favorite picks, most interesting picks, most underrated picks. Let's get into the mock. Keith, typically we start with the favorite picks. But as you were selecting, I said, man, this is going to be a lot of fun to discuss. Let's start with most interesting picks, Keith. And I got to ask, so both of us end up having a team, at least one team we had both picks for. I think I had Dallas, the Cowboys, and you had the Rams. I want to start with the Rams situation, Keith. You went at number, what did Rams have, pick 12, whatever, 13?
Yeah.
13.
Yeah.
So the Rams selected, Keith gave the Rams Ty Simpson, quarterback out of Alabama. And then when you go to their pick, what was that, pick 29, he gave them Kadyn Proctor, the offensive tackle out of Alabama. So he doubled down with the Crimson Tide connection to the Rams, Keith.
I didn't even think about that when I was selecting, right? I just went position. Go ahead.
We went full, we got two Crimson Tide coming into going cross country to LA, Keith. I think why this is interesting to me, when I look at who was on the board at 13, Jermod McCoy, and they had the Achilles heel for this team is the cornerback room. They have an undersized cornerback situation. They really can't. I mean, it just got exposed. Like we saw that against Carolina. We saw it down the back stretch of that season. They got exposed bad, and they need a CB1. And I think also speaking for Rams fans, you're like, okay, we got one more, maybe 2 years left of Stafford. We need to put our assets to bettering the defense, because I think they said they put a lot of money into the offense. They didn't put a lot of money into the defense, which shows up on Sundays when they're playing good teams. What made you decide to go with Ty Simpson and even with Kadyn Proctor instead of addressing the cornerback position?
Yeah, so for me, DP, I know you mentioned in specific Jermod McCoy, right? It's two trains of thoughts for me when I think about the Rams. I agree with going in on Matthew Stafford, right? But in my opinion, I don't know for sure if a rookie cornerback is going to tip the scales for you, right? Because he's still a rookie at the end of the day, right? It's like if the Bills draft a rookie wide receiver, I'm not sure if he's going, going to tip the scales, because he's still a rookie, right? He has to get acclimated, different things. And then I have to be honest, this may be more of a Jermod McCoy conversation. If we want to go there, I don't know if I feel completely comfortable drafting him that high when there's a year of football that hasn't happened, right? Yeah. And when I watched the film of him at Tennessee, I see good. I don't know if I see great, right? And I thought that this past year would have been an opportunity to kind of etch his name as great. Like I Jermod McCoy, and then for cornerback rankings, I'm going to have Avion Terrell above him. When it comes to that, and I think that's the hesitation that I have, just because he hasn't played a year of football, and I think even at the combine, right, there was no testing done in numbers.
He said he said I was at his podium. He said he's waiting to his pro day. We asked, hey, are you healthy? Can you go right now? And what it sounded like to me, it sounded like an agent call. Like, wait till you can control the environment. You don't got to go out here and just wait. You know what I mean? And he's like, I miss it. I can go right now. I'm 100%. I've done everything I need to do and everything. And it sounded like a player who's listening to an agent and not moving on his own accord, which we see a lot, unfortunately.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. In this, I don't want to make this a Jermod McCoy segment, right? But that's partially like that's a big part of the reason, right? Is that I'm like, yo, I need to see you. Like I haven't seen you, right? Like
right.
I need to see you play football. So, and I don't think there's been many players, DP, like even a Jordan Tyson who we've seen in the past 2 years, we knock him for injury, right? Like Jermod McCoy, I think through this process, we like, oh, he hurt, but we know he's really good. And I'm like, a lot of benefit of the doubt, right? Like that's a lot. So if you ask Jermod McCoy, that's the reason why. For the right, we're taking Ty Simpson and Kane Proctor. The other part I told you was thought process. Les Snead is a guy that moves to the beat of his own drum, right? And amongst all of the criticism, amongst the whatever may go on, and when it was forget the picks and everything else, and people said he was crazy and they're going to win a Super Bowl and then crash as a team. None of it happened. I think Les Snead is the most confident GM, and he's been that way for a long time before he won the Super Bowl, right? So I'm like, you know what? Like I could see them being like, you know what? We're gonna set ourselves up, and I think what's going to happen is they're going to fill their roster out via free agency, right? And then also, if we really want to take the next step of the Los Angeles Rams potentially and what could happen, one of these picks may actually go, right? Like they may trade. I think I seen that on ESPN when they talked about potentially trading a pick for Trent McDuffie, right? Trading a first round pick for Trent McDuffie or something like that. But, DP, I'm gonna keep moving because I don't want to spend the whole segment just on the Los Angeles Rams, but that was my thought process. Most interesting picks, right? And I think I got held up. I think I told you the stretch. You know what I'm gonna go with, and you made the selection. The New York Jets were picks 16, taking Makai Lemon. I want to ask you about that.
Yeah, that's kind of been my ideal landing spot for him. You know what I mean? I don't view I like the kid. I like his game. I like what he brings to the table. I don't love him to the point of, hey, he's a top 10 player, top 7 player in this class. I'm not there yet. You know what I mean? I'm not there as some of the other analysts, and our other, colleagues. He said, I won't ever get like, I just can't, I'm not there. You know what I mean? If he did what I wanted to do, right? If he went out there and ran 4.4, answer some questions for me, jump 38 inches, like show some raw, I would have been like, okay, I can edge closer to that. But that top 20, I've always had him as a top 20 pick. And I think for the Jets having 2 first-round picks, you get at number 2, I give Marvell Reese, which is low-hanging fruit. That's kind of the pick everybody expects to happen. And then at 16, like I saw Makai Lemon being there, was like, well, if they were a team to trade maybe the pick 103 to the Eagles for Tanner McKee, you know what I mean, and go get them a veteran quarterback to just kick the tires on. Like, no, you're not spending big money or high draft capital rather than drafting the quarterback. You want to make sure that you have the weapons in place. Garrett Wilson, you got A.D. Mitchell, you have John Mechie, and then you add a Makai Lemon, who more than likely ends up coming in as that slot receiver for you long term. I think that's what went through my process. I'm like, you know what, and again, that's been my ideal landing spot for him the entire time. The Jets haven't needed wide receiver, especially the slot role. Love John Mechie, but I think Makai Lemon just gives you more after the catch, gives you more physicality and better hands as well coming out as prospects. Where now heck, if you keep all 4, you go 11 personnel, you got 4 really good, young, talented wide receivers that will make any quarterback happy. So that's what my mindset went with that, Keith. I want to go to before he transitioned, because when he tested and did everything, pick 17, Cashius Howell to the Detroit Lions, Keith. He came in, I think, with the shortest wingspan and arm length of any edge rusher in combine history. And I was like, when I saw you make the pick in our spreadsheet, I said, oh man, all right. Keith's not moved. You know what I mean? I was like, Keith has not moved one bit on his boy Cashius Howell. Listen, we both like Cashius. I think it's a strong chance. If we do hear his name called, it's probably back in the round 1. But I think with the measurements, he's probably gonna fall around 2.
Yeah. So this is. I think when we look at this draft, right? I think, and I forgot where I was discussing this. Is that there's a clear tier mark, right, within this draft, and I think with this draft, if we overanalyze it in a certain element, we're going to miss the talent, because some of the talent, I think the most talented guys are missing things, right? Like when you get into the offensive lineman, like the Francis Muiagas, Casey Concepcion is a really talented receiver, but what if he's a 4-5 guy, right? Makai Lemon, for your point, right, is like really good player, but if we, you know what I'm saying? Like I just think this draft is a very difficult and interesting draft. Right, because like the guys, the most talented guys, they're missing. Like there are not a lot of complete projects out there. So when I looked at the Cashius Howell thing, and to the listeners, I had Cashius Howell going 17 to the Detroit Lions. I thought about his role more than anything, DP. I said that he won't have to be the ace pass rusher. He'll be the number 2 guy. And do I like Cashius Howell in a complementary role to Aiden Hutchinson? Yes, I love that situation for him, right? Like and because I think he can be a double-digit sack guy, but if it doesn't work out and he winds up being a 8
DPR,
a 8 sack guy, then he's still in a good spot, right? So that's why I decided to go with that, because I'm like, and he plays with power, he knows how to play the run, he fits the Detroit Lions mentality, right? As far as how he approaches things, I'm like, okay, this would be a good culture fit. And then also he doesn't have to be the number 1, if that makes any sense. So that was part of my thought process when I went into that. But DP, let's keep this thing going and flowing, man. And you said it. You talked about it at the top of the show. We flipped it, right? We usually do favorite picks first. Well, you know what? Coming up next, we're going to do favorite picks now. What has been our favorite picks from our dual mock draft? We'll talk about that coming up next.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. March is a time to celebrate women, especially around International Women's Day, and to recognize just how much they carry at work, in relationships, in families, in all the unseen roles they step into every single day. It's easy to celebrate that strength, but it's just as important to make space for their emotional well-being. And honestly, that goes for all of us. So for me, I separate my wife and how she keeps everything afloat. While I'm able to work, travel, do whatever I'm doing, she takes care of the boys. She keeps me level-headed. She keeps everything moving. She's the nucleus. So your emotional well-being, it truly matters. Find support and feel lighter in therapy. Sign up and get 10% off at BetterHelp.com/LockedOn. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOn. Breaking down our favorite picks and fits from our post-combine NFL mock draft. That's what we're getting into next. Thanks for being an everydayer with us. If you want the show ad-free, check out the Everydayer Club and consider becoming a member. Go to LockedOnNFLDraft.supercast.com. Keith, I think for me, when you say favorite picks, I gotta go with some the picks I made, and that was the Dallas Cowboys. I think for the Cowboys,
not to tap you patting yourself on the shoulder.
I feel like the Cowboys would be real happy with me, Keith.
I can't think of the word that's peak level, whatever word that is, right? That is peak level.
Peak level aura, Keith. Peak level aura. That's what it is, brother. But at pick 12, I gave the Dallas Cowboys because he was falling. You know what I mean? I was like, I got to stop the slide here. And I'll be, it'd be crazy if Jerry Jones don't stop the slide. The Dallas Cowboys got Reuben Bain Jr. at pick 12. When you go to pick 20, their second first round pick, I think that was the pick that they got for, I believe, Quinnen Williams. No, not Quinnen. Micah Parsons with the Packers. I gave them Dylan Thindeman, the explosive, athletic safety who I think for everybody, if you're wondering if he plays to that speed, please go watch the Purdue tape. Like when he was playing free safety, when he wasn't playing low hole in the box that Dan Lanning had him playing. When Purdue let him play on the roof, you saw the range, you saw the speed, you saw all of the athleticism showcase itself there, but he just played a different role for Oregon, which is a great thing. He showed you I could be a free safety, I could play strong, I could play big nickel, big dime backer, I could do all the things you need me to do. And defensively, like the Dallas Cowboys, they're tagging George Pickens, and reportedly he's going to play on the tag. All right, cool. So you got that situation situated, right? It's not a headache in a sense. You're not going into training camp like, man, we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, it's a lot of time left. There's a lot of time left. A lot of time left. But just for right now, it's fine, right? So if the draft for the date and you say, okay, we're good at receiver, George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb. And I think I just saw, I expect George Pickens to probably get the extension, that Dak and CD restructured their contracts to open up $66 million in cap space for Dallas. Jerry Jones paid George Pickens, and let's not let this trickle into training camp. But getting Dylan Thindeman and Reuben Bain, that just helps jumpstart your defense and that turnaround. Talking about having Reuben Bain alongside Quinnen Williams, who is one of the better pass rushing defensive tackles in the league. You have him playing in that even front, and then you have our boy from last year, Donovan Ezeroku, out of Boston College, as the speed, the fastball, opposite of the big power bowling ball that is a Reuben Bain. And then you put Dylan Thindeman in that secondary. You hope Siobhan Revel is ready to go after his rookie season and that torn ACL he was recovering from and everything. I think it puts you in a really good spot defensively.
Yeah, I don't mind you, like when you did it right and with the Cowboys as far as going to defensive players. I don't mind it because it's actually necessary.
Right.
The Cowboys, because they need help in every single position. They need help at defensive end. They need help at linebacker. They need help at safety. They need help at corner. Right? Like they need help at every single position. So
that's a fact.
Going to defensive players is not a bad situation at all. DP, I want to go to the top of the draft, right? And I'm gonna list off a couple draft picks so our listeners can know, right? We had the Raiders go Fernando Mendoza at 1, Arvell Reese to the Jets at 2, Jeremiyah Love to the Cardinals at 3, David Bailey to the Titans at 4, Sonny Styles to the Giants at 5. That was the top 5 picks, right? I want to go to a pick I made, and I want to ask you, I want you to analyze this because I know you've had experience with the Arizona Cardinals, right? And then also you're a running back guy, right? Like you look out for the running backs. I want to ask you Jeremiyah Love to the Cardinals. I made the selection, but I want to ask you your opinion because that's a selection that's really starting to take momentum, right? And I want to ask you how you feel about that. Like when you analyze that situation, how do you feel about it?
I love it. You know what I mean? Because I made the same pick in my own mock draft over on my YouTube channel that's supposed to be dropped. I made this exact same pick because I was just like at 3. It was always Spencer Fano, like Spencer Fano or Francis Maui Noah. Spencer Fano came in with arms shorter than Will Campbell. I was like, yep, he's going to guard. Then he was taking snaps, doing snap drills at center at the combine before his workout was over. I expect him to play interior offensive lineman, whether it's center or guard. I think that's what's going to end up happening for Spencer Fano. Francis Maui Noah could still go here, but I was just like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Like, I think they're losing James Conner, who's older and longer in the tooth anyway. He's coming off an injury and everything that ended his season. Getting Jeremiyah Love and bringing that speed. This is an offense that doesn't have a lot of speed, especially at wide receiver. It's Marvin Harrison Jr., a builder speed guy. It's Michael Wilson, who's a possession style builder speed guy. Trey McBride, the tight end, is not a speed guy. They lack speed. And now when you have a Jeremiyah Love in the backfield for whoever's quarterback, it's a lot of smoke around them getting potentially Malik Willis, coming from Green Bay. You got Mike LaFleur coming over and everything, bringing that kind of West Coast style offense in the offense that you compare. So you're talking about having potentially breaking the huddle with Malik Willis, who's a dynamic running threat at quarterback, and Jeremiyah Love in the backfield, who's a 4.36. And I was there. I'll tell you right now, Keith, when we did his profile, oh yeah, he's fine. Body type wise, he's fine. Like I saw him in person. I saw, yeah, he's filled in. You know what I mean? I was like, you actually look, he came in like lighter, but I was like, you look a little bit heavier than you did on film. And then he still ran a 4.36. So it wasn't one of those situations where a guy like, just add a little bit of weight and he's like, yeah, I ain't gonna test. I'm good. You know what I mean? Like he's like, nah, I'm still gonna bust this up 4.4 and show y'all exactly how fast I am. I think that makes a lot of sense. Go with the best player. Go BPA, right? I think you can still get you a right tackle or a tackle later on in this class anyway, or in free agency. Jermaine Illuminor from the Giants, like you can get you a right tackle that will pair well with a Paris Johnson. I want to make sure whoever's at quarterback, they have all the weapons possible to make plays.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I just wanted to get your opinion of that real quick, DP. I'm going to go these couple picks, list these off. You went number 6. You went Cardinal Tate to the Browns. We went Caleb Downs to the Commanders. We went Jordan Tyson to the Saints, and then we went Kenyon Sadiq to the Kansas City Chiefs. I want to stop right there real quick and say I think we have to start judging this class by offensive weapons. If we categorize this thing by position and put the positional value chart, then Jeremiyah Love and Kenyon Sadiq won't be drafted this high. But are they two of the elite prospects in this draft? That's what we have to start asking ourselves, right? And when I look at Kenyon Sadiq going to the Kansas City Chiefs, I know that they can use wide receiver, they can use edge rusher, a couple things, but is he one of the elite prospects? And knowing that Travis Kelce is, if he, may have a year left in him.
Yeah.
Do you go ahead, get Kenyon Sadiq, and then now you have this situation, right? And now does the question in totally different situation, but now does Patrick Mahomes have his almost Gronkowski type guy that's like physically dominant? And obviously Gronkowski was a totally different body type, but Kenyon Sadiq showed that he's just as dominant, but could be in a different way. And so I think that's how I thought about that. I'm like, no, like draft the best player that can contribute to your team. And if you have a mismatch with Kenyon Sadiq, we know Patrick Mahomes is going to get him the football, right? He's used to throwing the ball in the middle of the field to Travis Kelce. So that's why I went with that situation. But DP, let's do this, man. Coming up next, let's go most underrated picks, right? Some picks that may fly under the radar, but there's reasons why we did it, and let's explain the situation. Let's talk about that coming up next.
Hey, it's Matt Derry from the Locked On Lions podcast. The people I love depend on me. If I'm gone, the financial responsibilities don't disappear. I didn't want my family figuring things out during the hardest moment of their lives. That's why I knew only one place to go. I chose life insurance through my friends at Ethos. Ethos makes getting life insurance fast and easy, 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. There's no medical exam. You just answer a few simple health questions. You can get up to $3 million in coverage. Some policies are as low as $30 a month. I love the folks at Ethos. Protect your family with life insurance from Ethos now by going to ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. In as little as 10 minutes, you can get the free quote and up to $3 million in coverage at ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. That is ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. Ethos.com/LockedOnNFL. Application times and rates may vary.
Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen of the day. Talking about the most underrated, those sleeper picks from our first round post-combine mock draft over here on Locked On NFL Draft. Keith, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go towards the bottom. I'm gonna go offensive line. I'm gonna go pick 28. I think it was the Houston Texans getting Blake Miller.
I thought that was interesting when you made that pick.
Blake Miller had, like 2025, man. He really took a big step forward and everything. And just watching his game and how Garrett Riley, the old OC at Clemson, how they call plays. This was an RPO styled offense, but they call it the dirt raid instead of the it's not just RPO but air raid. Instead of calling it the air raid, they call it the dirt raid because they wanted to run the ball. They run the ball a whole lot better when they had Phil Maffa back there in 2024 than Adam Randall, but they still ran the football. Blake Miller, the Texans want to get back to being they want to be a balanced team. They want to run the football, but they also need to protect. You got to protect your quarterback, and them trading away Titus Howard and everything. That's back to back all season. I feel like where you trade your best offensive lineman.
Yeah, when this trade went down, I understood wanting David Montgomery, but I thought for the Houston Texans, I was kind of like, y'all maybe give away somebody else. Like, did y'all ask the Lions, like, hey, do you want this guy? Do you want this? Like, right? Like, you should have, when you play Madden and you don't want to give up your guys, so you throw in a bunch of other players to see, like,
other players
what'll work. Like, I really don't want to give this guy away.
What will it take that I don't have to give him up? And it's why, I mean, because they made two trades. They went and got David Montgomery, which I love. Getting that running back because I think they already released
and they've tried a bunch of veterans that at this point,
like Nick Chubb.
Now it feels like maybe those guys all are past their prime, right? The Nick Chubb, potentially Joe Mixon, that whole situation.
And I think Joe Mixon just this health with him. He missed the whole season last year, right? So David Montgomery pairing him with Woody Marks makes a lot of sense. But trading Titus Howard to the Cleveland Browns, like I just, I didn't understand it. I'm like, guys, y'all must really hate CJ. Like there's no other way around that. Like you must really feel, is it either you hate him or you feel like, hey, it doesn't really matter. We're good. Like it's not protecting your quarterback. That was your bet. And then he played 4 out of the 5 offensive line positions. So when a guard goes down, you kick Titus Howard at guard. If a left tackle goes down, you can kick him the left tackle. It's just like, what are we doing? And it's like losing that Iron Man of your offensive line. You must be real high on the tackle from Notre Dame a couple years ago that you drafted. You must be really high on him.
He played opposite of Joe Oat.
Yeah, he wasn't great since he's been drafted. I think with Blake Miller bringing in, for one, he's going to bring a level of physicality to this offensive line. He's going to bring an attitude. He's got 52, I think, consecutive starts in college and everything. He's been a starter for 4 years at Clemson. He's very talented. He's athletic. He's a straight line guy, puller into space, but also he really improved as a pass protector. And I think, they need this. Like they need a guy like that can solidify. Having 2 young tackles, Ariante Ursery and Blake Miller. Again, maybe you look at the tackle from Notre Dame. I'm blanking on his name right now, but maybe you have him. You kick him in at guard, like how you're trying to make him the new Titus Howard. You got to figure this out because they also traded their center, one of their centers, Juice Scruggs, to the line. I don't know what this offensive line is going to actually look like in Houston, but we got a problem, Houston. We got a problem.
Yeah, no, it's playing out that way to where it'll be really interesting, right, to see what they do.
Absolutely.
At the old line position. DP, I'm gonna go with 2 wide receivers, right? For my most underrated picks. And it's underrated, but it's also I think both are extremely necessary for 2 totally different reasons. So I went with Denzel Boston to the Eagles at pick 23. And I know that, and the reason I went Denzel Boston is because obviously the A.J. Brown conversation. And I think Nick Sirianni was that day one, he was talking about like A.J. Brown, and, he talked highly of A.J. Brown. And like, listen, we'd love to have him. We'd love to have him here. We'll get things worked out. On behalf of, I feel like 90% of NFL fans, we tired. We don't want to see the A.J. Brown fiasco anymore, right? Like whatever it was, y'all haven't figured it out. I have no faith that y'all are going to figure it out, right? So it's one of those things, and I'm a parent, right? So sometimes, listen, like my sons, they get in there, they mix it up a little bit about something, and they can't figure it out. So I come in and I just take the toy away. I said, I'm going to eliminate this problem, right? I think the Philadelphia Eagles, they need to eliminate the problem. It's not that one side is wrong and the other side is right. Both of y'all could be right? It could be right that the offensive woes are an issue and the offensive coordinator is a problem and everything is not working. The other part could be right that the Eagles should run the football, and you know what I'm saying? Like both sides could be right. I just want to remove the situation. So I'm projecting trading A.J. Brown, right? Getting a haul for him, drafting another big body wide receiver in Denzel Boston. And if you're going to be a running football team anyway, maybe you don't need a guy at the caliber of A.J. Brown, right? Like maybe you can go from a A+ tier to a B+ tier, but the team chemistry is great and the momentum is good in that capacity. So that was the Eagles pick. And then for the New England Patriots, at pick 31, right? And you're talking about a lot of wide receivers off the board already. So at this point, I said Denzel Boston was off the board. Casey Concepcion was off the board. Makai Lemon was off the board. Carnell Tate, right? So just going, and I say, you know what? When I go back to that AFC Championship game, they lacked a guy that could win, right? Like when you looked at this wide receiver core, it looked like who's going to dominate, right? And outside of Stephon Diggs winning with his savviness, right, and just being a veteran. So I gave them Deion Burks for 2 reasons. Deion is a guy, DP, that we both championed a long time ago. He's like, this guy can ball. He can flat out play football at the end of the day. And then when I look at their receiver core, and I'm not sure how the Stephon Diggs situation will evolve. Kayshon Boutte is good, but Deion Burks is a different type of wide receiver, which I think they can utilize and need, right? Like you're talking about like a big shot guy, but he can also play on the outside too. Like there's a very underrated element to Deion Burks' game. So that's why I went Deion Burks to the New England Patriots. So that was the two picks that I was like, I would like to see this happen because I think it'll actually help both teams move forward.
Yeah, no, the Burks one caught me off guard because I was like, okay, I thought receiver for them too. And I was thinking like a Chris Brazzell, that big 6'5", 437, like guy can go up and get it, that type of, and stretch the field, that type of, and he's a good route runner too. So I was like, oh, but Burks,
that was the other name I thought of.
Yeah.
I was kind of stuck in between, like if it's just because it's kind of like picking and choosing like who you think will be there in the second round type of thing. Like when you get to that very end of the first round, right? Like who you think will be available to come back around to.
No, for sure. I think for me, Keith, one of my underrated picks, one that you made, both on offensive line, Monroe Freeling to the Carolina Panthers. I know Carolina Panther fans, you need edge, you need linebacker. I think it's a torn patella for Ike Ekwonu.
Mm-hmm.
Can't really count on him being fully healthy come week one, right? So for me, I just thought about, okay, you take Monroe Freeling, you let him deal with the bumps and bruises. You start him out the gate as a left tackle. When Icky is ready to go, because I think there's a contract situation with Taylor Moton, the right tackle. Can you then flip Icky to right tackle? You still pay Icky if he returns healthy and he's 100% long-term without any long-term lingering issues. You kick him to right tackle. Now you got yourself two bookend tackles with the guards, and then you find yourself the long-term center option maybe later on in this draft or through free agency to really create a stone wall, a great wall of Carolina for Bryce Young so that he can step up in the pocket, make throws, things of that nature. You run the ball, like be balanced and get the ball to your weapons. I think that made a lot of sense. And then for me, I was between him and I think it's Chase Bacentis. I think it was I might have messed it up, but the guard from Texas A&M, I went with Emmanuel Pregnon to the Seahawks. Listen,
I like that one, and I like because I was about to text you this last night. I like Emmanuel a lot more than I think the consensus feels. Like I like Emmanuel a lot. Like I
do too.
I think, and I know we talk about the Penn State interior offensive lineman.
Yeah,
I think they're a lot closer. But I think they're slightly different in what they do. But I think it's going to be a styles make fights type situation, right? Like which type of guy do you want? But I like Emmanuel a lot.
I mean, go back to last year, people, as they just won the Super Bowl, people like, I don't want to mock them a guard. Well, Gray Zabel was outstanding for them as a rookie. So I would double down, make sure that we protect Sam Darnold. We got two tackles. You know what I mean? They got to figure out the running back situation with Charbonnet injury and not bringing back Kenneth Walker. You got to figure that part out. But there's some guys you can get on day two for sure. But I think Pregnon to the Seattle Seahawks makes so much sense because now you get yourself what you would call two franchise guards to go with your two tackles.
Yeah, I agree with that. But DP, that wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all can talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Guys, on tomorrow's show, we are bringing you our post-combine top 25 big board. We're going to our new updated big board. After the combine, after guys ran fast and some guys didn't test, some guys did field drills, some guys went home. We're going to break it down and tell you who's on our top 25 post-combine on tomorrow's show. So come join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.